Good morning, wind chasers. Welcome to another edition of Chasing the Wind. So, I want to talk to you about a phrase that the Lord gave me this week in Scripture that probably, there's those scriptures that you read and they're like, wow, when did that thing happen? I didn't see that. And so here's the phrase. It came in a devotion I read. I'm not going to repeat you the whole devotion, but it did get me doing some thinking and the way the Spirit was moving in my life with this. Still trying to unpack it, so I might be unpacking it while I'm talking to you this morning, so that's okay. From Exodus chapter 33, the tent of meeting, it says, "Now Moses used to take a tent and pitch it outside the camp some distance away, calling it the tent of meeting. Anyone inquiring of the Lord would go to the tent of meeting outside the camp." And basically, that was the place where Moses would speak face to face with God as a man speaks with his friend. So here's the thing. Why did Moses quit doing it? That was my devotion thought. It says he used to take a tent and pitch it. Are there things, and this is a rhetorical question, of course, that you used to do that were good, beneficial, helpful, meaningful, that you don't do anymore? As I've counseled with couples before, well, we used to do that. We used to do this. We used to go on dates. We used to spend time together. We used to talk. They don't anymore. The question is why? Why? What are some things that you used to do? It's got me thinking about some things. My wife and I have been trying to get our garden ready, and it's kind of funny. Both woke up this morning stiffer than a new broom, as a guy in my church says. And I'm thinking to myself, how come it hurts more to do this stuff now than it used to? I know the answer to that question, by the way. I don't need anybody commenting on it and telling me why. It's because I'm not 30 anymore, 27, whatever you want to call it. I'm in my 50s now, so it takes us 2 weeks to decorate the house for Christmas now, where it used to take us a day. Okay, so we used to. It's interesting, that phrase, used to. I was pondering that this morning a little bit. Why that phrase probably would come up into our lives. I used to hang out with this person. Why don't I anymore? Well, sometimes it's because that person, your lives just separate. They just go other directions. It's not intentional. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it needs to be intentional. Sometimes there are people in our lives that we need to walk away from. There's people in our lives that, if you look at them, there's some people that you don't want to spend 3 seconds with, but you have to. Some you'd say, okay, I'd spend 3 minutes with them. Some 3 hours. Some 3 days. And then there's some that you would say I'd spend 3 lifetimes with. And so there's some people that you say, well, I used to hang out with them. But we find out that maybe those people were toxic, or they were not helping us. Maybe it was a relationship where they were, sucking the life out of us, and it was not helping us. So we used to hang out with them, but I don't do that anymore. When Jesus comes into your life, there should be a lot of things that we used to do that we don't do anymore, because Christ changes our life. And he says, those things that you were doing to try and find meaning, let me be the meaning. Let me be the one who fills those voids that maybe you were trying to fill. So there's some used to things that maybe it's okay we don't do them anymore. But then there's things that we maybe need to say, well, I used to do this. I used to do that. I run into people sometimes as a pastor, and they find out I'm a pastor. Oh, I used to go to church. Why'd you stop? Well, I don't really know. Some of them knows. Well, someone looked at me cross-eyed. Okay, my question follow-up is, well, was there anybody that ever treated you nice? Oh yeah, they all did, except for that one person. So you gave that one person all your power and let them decide that you weren't going to go to church anymore. So I used to go to church, but that one person. Forgive them. They might be that person you want to spend 3 seconds with, and that's too much. I get it. So only spend 3 seconds with them or less, and go spend time with the people that loved on you and showed you they really cared about you, okay? Maybe you say, well, I used to have devotions every day. I used to be kind of really I used to have a relationship with Jesus. Well, he didn't move. He wasn't the one that moved, folks. It's if we're out of relationship with Jesus, because we moved, not him. Okay? And by the way, he's not there to just do everything we want him to do. We're to serve him not serve us, although he did come to serve, and he does serve us, but we're supposed to be following him. He doesn't follow us. So I'd like to talk to Moses sometime. Now, Moses used to take a tent and pitch it outside the camp some distance away, calling it the tent of meeting. I'd like to say, hey, Moses, why don't you do that anymore? To me, that sounds really cool. A tent of meeting, a place that I can go and meet with the Lord and talk to him as a friend talks to a friend. Now, if your relationship with your friends is all superficial and fake, and you just nice each other to death, and you don't really, I just had a conversation with some friends where we were pretty real and honest, and that was kind of a tent of meeting for me. Talking friend to friend, laughing, but being serious, asking for prayer, saying, hey, here's something I'm kind of struggling with spiritually, trying to figure this out. And thank God for not only those friends, but also that God meets us in those places. So Moses used to take a tent and pitch it. He called it the tent of meeting. So what did he do? Did he start meeting God somewhere else? Sometimes that tent of meeting, maybe it changes on you a little bit, and that's okay if it does. It's not the actual tent, by the way, but it is about somewhere meeting with the Lord. Do you have a place where you meet with God, or even some practices? It was funny, I laid my Bible down. This Bible that I have here in front of me is the Bible I got when I first came to Christ. Someone gave it to me. And I was just getting a little frantic. I guess it shows my bibliolatry a little bit here, because my idolatry, because I was like, I got to have that Bible. I like this Bible because I know it. I can find things in here quicker than if I can that's thinner or bigger, whatever. I'm not to the large print yet. I used to do this. I used to do that. Parents, I used to do this with my kids. Oh yeah, I can remember when my kids we used to go play together. Maybe you could again. Wait a minute, my kids are 30. Fine. We used to play together. We used to do things together. We used to do meaningful things together. Go do it again. If it has me. Now there's some things again. I used to do this. I used to do that. I used to go out and go on 3-day benders or whatever. Okay, I didn't, but I mean, whatever you can say, whatever that was. Things that were not helpful to us. But the tent of meeting, cry out loud, Moses. I really want to just say, Moses, why would you stop doing that? You met with God face to face and talked with him as a friend talks to a friend, and you don't do it anymore? Now, there's a lot of things that I hear people say, oh, when I get to heaven, I'm going to ask God this, I'm going to ask God. I want to talk to Peter. What was I? I want to talk to Paul. What was it like? I want to ask Moses a simple question. Why would you have this great place of meeting with the Lord and then not do it anymore? And then look, if I were to have gone on, after it says he met him, a man speaks with a man, friend to friend, then it says, then Moses would return to the camp, these very same people that he called stiff-necked here just previous to this. But his young aide Joshua, son of Nun, did not leave the tent. Now, Moses Gandalf maybe isn't as wise as we think he is. Maybe it was his young friend, Joshua, that we need to be paying more attention to. Because there's the other question. So I'm going to talk to Moses. What were you thinking, dude? But then I'm going to say, I got about 3 seconds for you to answer that question, Moses, because I want to talk to Joshua. I want to talk to Joshua. Why did you not want to leave that tent? What was going on in there that you would not leave that tent? Had that flame turned into a flicker, just a little burning ember with Moses? Maybe that's why Paul told Timothy, fan into flame the faith you got from your mother and your grandmother. Fan into flame. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. Maybe today you're like, maybe someone's going to watch this today, and you're stumbling across it. And maybe today you're sitting there saying, man, I used to walk with the Lord. And maybe today it's time for you to go back to the tent. That place. If you want to put up a real tent, put up a real tent. Maybe it's time for you to come back to the Lord. Maybe you're still going through the motions of your relationship with Christ, but you're like, man, there's something missing. And I've been there, people. I've been there. We need to go back to the tent of meeting. And it's not that the tent itself is so special. It's that it's a place where you meet with the Lord face to face, and you talk to him as a friend talks to a friend. So wind chasers, take a little look at that today. Did you used to meet with the Lord? Maybe that's why in the letter that was given to the churches in Revelation, it says, you've forsaken your first love. I'm gonna tell you right now, Jesus is still in that tent. God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, the Trinity, the Godhead, is still in that tent of meeting. You're welcome to come in. They haven't moved. They're waiting for you. They're wanting you to come in. It's time to come in. So wind chasers, keep chasing the wind, because the wind is chasing you. Until next time, grace and peace.